Hey everybody, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. In this video, we're gonna be making over this dresser right here. It's definitely seen better days, so let's get into the flip. Okay, first things first, as always, we are gonna remove the hardware. I got this set on Facebook Marketplace for just 50 bucks, and I've had it for quite a while. It's actually Thomasville. I was pleasantly surprised when I went and picked it up because it wasn't listed as name brand when I got, but when I got there, I saw it was Thomasville, so of course, I was even more excited. Go ahead and remove this hardware, and I don't think I'm gonna be keeping this hardware. I'm going to be taking it completely off, so I'll also take off this little guy as well, but I do think I'm gonna be leaving the appliques. I think it kind of adds some spunk and fun to this piece. Cleaning time is next, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my furniture prep cleaner, and basically you just want to use any degreasing cleaner to clean the surface of your piece. I got this from someone else off of Facebook Marketplace, so I just really like to start with a clean, fresh slate, and that's what I do. Some people don't clean beforehand, and that's totally fine. I just think personally that it's good to start with a clean slate, and then also it's not going, when I start sanding, it's not gonna grind down any oils or grease that's like on top of the surface, like into the wood grain. So that's just personal preference, but I do highly recommend it. So that's just my process. That's why, because it's really gross to start working on a piece that's not clean. Next up is sanding. So the top here has quite a bit of, I don't know, failing finish and like markings on it where things have like stuck to the top. And then over here, there are two pretty significant gouges, like enough to make it be so that I will have to repair them if I'm going to keep the top wood, which I really would like to. So I'm going to sand down the finish and see what we're working with before I fill those in with epoxy and kind of fix those up. Before I do all that work, I want to make sure that we're going to be working with a good solid top that's going to be able to be stained and actually look good. So I've got my Surf Prep 5-inch orbital sander here and a 120 grit sandpaper. We're going to cut through this finish. Like I said, it's pretty, it's failing pretty well in a lot of areas, so I'm thinking it won't take too long to sand it back, but we will see. Let's do it. So I'm still sanding down the top here. I'm about halfway done, but I do really like the way that the oak is shining through, and it's pretty thick veneer, so I'm not busting through anywhere. I figured while I'm continuing to sand, I might as well go ahead and fill in these areas so it can dry by the time I'm finished sanding, and then I'll be ready to like make the repairs or sand this down. I'm just using some Good Filla, and this is in the color like light, like a lighter color. It's for maple, pine, birch. I know this is oak, but it's still much lighter than the other epoxies that I have. So I'm just going to apply some right here. I think that like when I'm repairing wood like this, I want to try and get as close a match with the epoxy as I can with the color of the actual wood. So that way it's much easier to do a color match when I sand and like use the sticks, the fill sticks, or the blend all sticks, I mean. There we go. We got that all filled in, so we'll let that dry as I continue to sand down the rest of the top here. I'm still kind of working on the top and sanding it down. I got the full thing done with 120 grit, but then I'm gonna move up and continue sanding it so that it's all smooth. But I figured, again, kind of like I decided to do on the gouges on the top, I might as well go ahead and fill in these hardware holes that I'm going to be changing the placement of. So I'm gonna be using Bondo, and this is the wood filler Bondo. I'm gonna put a little bit here on my piece of cardboard, and then we're gonna use some cream hardener to harden it up and fill in these hardware holes. I personally just like to use Bondo for hardware holes. It seems to me that it is the most durable, and it doesn't shrink, and it just works really well for me. I've never had issues with Bondo showing shadowy lines or anything, like I didn't fill in the hardware holes enough and things like that. So I am going to utilize Bondo. That can be really frustrating when you've filled everything in and then you're painting and you see your hardware holes. So we want to avoid that at all costs. And this would also be a perfect time for you to fix any other potential damage that is on the furniture piece that you are working on. Luckily, this one doesn't seem to have any other areas that need to be filled in with Bondo. So I think that after we do the hardware holes, we should be good to go. There we go. So once that hardens, we'll come back and sand it down. And then while I'm sanding that down, that'll be the same time that I do some scuff sanding as well. Next up, we are going to tackle the top here. So after I sanded it down with the 120 grit, you saw me do the 220 grit as well. And so now I want to make it a different color than the actual base of the piece. And I want to keep it lighter. So instead of doing like a dark stain or something, I decided that I'm going to do a paint wash on the top here. You've seen me do several paint washes in the past, and this one's really no different. I've already got my paint wash kind of mixed up from a previous project, but I'm using Fusion Mineral Paints Algonquin paint mixed up with some water, and I'm just going to be brushing it on and wiping it back. Paint washing is a super easy process. I'm going to go ahead and mist my surface first. This is kind of like a pre-stain for water-based products, if you will. This will just kind of help our surface accept the paint wash really well without it getting too blotchy. And then I'm going to just take my Zebra Palm Pro and brush this on. I kind of like to do the tops before I paint any of the other portions of the dressers or pieces that I'm working on, simply because then later I don't have to worry about masking off the base again. And you know, I've seen people do it to where they don't really tackle the tops or the places that they're going to stain until after they've painted, and then you have to mask off again, and I just feel like it's repetitive. So that's why I like to just do it in this order. So what I'll do is after the paint wash is on and then dry, I will mask off the top only and paint, and then I'll unmask the top and it'll be all finished up. Okay, and then once that soaks in a little bit, I will just take some paper towels and wipe back the excess. And then for one last wipe down, I want to go all the way from side to side so that I'm not getting any cross wood grain streaks. We're going all the way with the same direction as the wood grain all the way across the top. Okay, and I know it might not look too different now, but I promise it does make a difference. And if you end up wanting it a little bit lighter or a little bit darker, whatever, you can always do more layers of the paint wash. I've also got 2 drawers that I'm going to tackle with the paint wash, and then we'll be able to keep letting this dry. Okay, it is time to prime. I am going to be using the Bin Advanced Primer. I've already got it loaded up over here in my Wagner Flexio 5000. And as you can see, since I did the drawers in the middle with the paint wash like I did on the top, I left those out, but I did put all the other drawers in because I wanted to spray with them in, but I covered the slides and things in the opening there. So we're gonna go ahead and prime this guy and then let that dry. We're ready to paint now. So I am gonna be painting this white. It's been so long since I have done a white piece, and so I figured that this was a good contender. I really like the details on the drawers and the doors that are on this piece, and I think white will just really help them stand out really well. So I've got my sprayer. We're gonna use my Wagner Flexio 5000. And then the paint that I'm gonna be using is silk paint in the color White Cap. So this is an all-in-one paint that has the primer and top coat built in. I did the primer, of course, because I did a lot of sanding and it kind of went through the finish to the raw wood, and this only has a bonding primer in it, not a stain blocking primer. So that's why I decided to use a stain blocking primer in addition to the paint that has the primer already in it. I've got my paint strainer here. This is just to make sure that there's not going to be any chunks that end up inside of the spray gun and help clog it, because clogging is so annoying to get rid of. Once you're already started, you have to like take it all apart, figure out where the clog is, yada, yada, yada. It's just not fun. So at all costs, try to strain your paint. And then with the silk paint, over the years I've been using it, I know that it does do a little bit better in the sprayer if it is watered down a tad bit. So I'm just gonna pour some water in there, and it's just gonna thin it out the slightest bit and help go through the spray gun a lot smoother. And we just wanna make sure that this is all stirred up with that water that I put in there. I've been toying with the idea of making a base for this piece, and I think it's going to help elevate it, literally and figuratively, up a little bit. I can like maybe get some better pricing for it, but ultimately it's 32 inches off the ground, and I feel like it's a little short. So I want to add a little bit of height to it. And then plus it'll give some visual interest down below here, and the base will match the top because it is all gonna be oak, and I think that that will really tie it all together. I love a little bit of a two-tone look. So I'm gonna measure for a base. I actually already measured this front part, and I happen to have a piece of wood that's the exact measurements I need, and it already has pocket holes drilled. I think I must have thought I was using it on a different piece, but I cut it wrong, and so I kept it in my stash, and now I'll be able to use it because it's the exact length that I needed. So all I need to do is cut pieces that go side to side on the edges, and then also the actual 2x2s that I'm going to be using for the legs. So this is 19 1/4. And remember, whenever you're making a base, whatever measurement you do for the sides and the front, you want to subtract 3 inches, because the 2x2s are actually 1.5 by 1.5, and you add 2 of those on every corner, which equals 3 inches. It's a little bit confusing. I will link my how to build a base tutorial video down below so that you can have like a more step-by-step guide. This one is going to be a general overview, but that's just a little tip to make sure that you don't forget that important step. So basically this one is going to need to be 16 1/4 inch on both sides. So I need 2 16 1/4 inch pieces of 1x3 red oak. So let's go cut those. Okay, so for the actual drilling of the pocket holes, I've got the Craig Jig 570, I believe it's called. And we need 2 pocket holes on each side, and then we need 4 more to actually secure it to the dresser. So just going to pop that in there. There's 2 pocket holes here. Now same side, but opposite end. Okay, now they're both drilled. Now we need to do 2 here and 2 here. Okay, there we go. Now we need to make this one identical to this one. Okay, we've got 2 now. And so now next up, since I already have the holes drilled for the long piece, I need to go ahead and I need to cut and attach the 2x2s to the long boards so that way the base is all put together. So I'm also going to be doing new hardware on the bottom 4 drawers, and because the hardware that was original was a little bit up, and then also it was a little bit outdated, and I couldn't find any handles that I wanted to use that were that same size. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and make some new holes. It's been a little bit of a challenge is whenever there is this edging, it's a little bit more tricky because there's not a flat surface to kind of to measure and make your hardware holes. So I was using the hardware jig that I have, but I kind of had to modify it and take it apart a little bit so that it will all just fit in there. And I think I've got them pretty lined up. The one thing I'm a little nervous about is if it's level or not. And if I'm looking at it, it doesn't really look level, and I don't have a small enough level. I was using the level on my phone, and that is also a little bit, yeah, so I don't know. Doesn't look fully level. So I've got to keep working on this. I think I just need to measure a little bit better. But I'm going to continue measuring until I get the exact measurements, and then I'll drill the new hardware holes on all 4 drawers before coat 2, so that way I'm not messing up the final coats. Shoot! Measure twice, drill once. Oh man. They are too close together for these. I thought I measured this enough to where it was the right measurements, but clearly I did not. Darn. Okay, well, now I get to fill these holes in and try again. Dang it. Oh, that's super frustrating. But everybody makes mistakes. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Filled in. We'll let that harden, and then I'll sand it down. I'm gonna adjust the hardware jig, and then I'm gonna continue on the other drawers. And I'm gonna make sure that it's the right measurements before I drill the holes. Okay, double checking that this is the right width. Okay, it is, and we're level. So let's do it again. There we go. That's what I meant to do the first time, but we're on the right track now. I got the base all built out and it was actually fairly simple. Sometimes they give me trouble and they want to crack and things like that, but this one was all good, which was really exciting because I love it when there's no issues. I am going to do the paint wash the same way that I did on the top to the base here. It's pretty much the same wood, it's oak. This is red oak, and I don't know if that's red oak necessarily, but it should end up looking about the same color once I get this paint wash on there. So same exact thing. I'm just gonna mist my surface and we'll go ahead and brush this on and wipe it back. I'm all finished up painting the white. So now I am going to be attaching the base and then top coating everything before we install the hardware. So we're on the home stretch. I'm gonna go ahead and take this top plastic off. The base is on and now I am ready to do the top coat on everything. I decided that I wanted to go with a little bit more of a satin finish, so that's why I'm gonna just top coat everything. I have to top coat the base and the top anyway, and then the drawers that I did the paint wash on, so I figured I might as well just go ahead and top coat everything at the same time. I moved the piece on over to the staging wall, which means we are ready to finish this up, putting it all back together and adding in the new hardware. To start, I am going to be using this beautiful champagne bronze knob on the drawers, and then I will have the same color handles for the bottom drawers. I'll show you in a second, but we're going to go ahead and remove this tape and get all that hardware on. I'm so excited to see this piece all finished up. I honestly can't believe the transformation. Although I didn't really tweak a ton of the overall look of it, I think that the white brightens this piece up so much. And then of course, the added on base gives it another level of excellence and kind of just elevates the look a lot. So we're gonna go over the numbers for this piece. I did it over the course of probably about a week. I've been in and out a little bit here and there working on other projects as well as this one. So probably a total of maybe 8 hours into this flip. As for the numbers go, the piece I got for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. I spent about $10 on primer, $25 on the all-in-one paint, and the paint wash is kind of included in there. The top coat cost was about $10 worth of the big can that I've got. The wood down below, I already had several pieces of it on hand. So we're just gonna account for about $20 worth of wood. And then the hardware, I also had all on hand, but we'll call it $20 for hardware costs. And then the miscellaneous costs like sandpaper, painter's tape, glue, screws, things like that, I spent about $15 worth. So we're all in around $150. And for a piece like this, I'll list it on Facebook Marketplace. It is Thomasville, so I'll probably put it around $850, $800, somewhere right around in there. So we'll be looking at around a $700 profit or so. And that'll give me a little bit of wiggle room if someone asks to go a little bit lower. As time goes on, I always am willing to negotiate here and there. That's why I always suggest putting your top dollar, because you can always go down, you can't really go up. So think about that when you're listing your pieces as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this flip. I know that it was one of my favorites. I have not done white in some time now, so I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. Is this too farmhouse? Is that look kind of out now? But I feel like I did modernize it enough to where someone may still really enjoy it. I'm glad that I did the two-tone. I incorporated the oak on the top, on the bottom here, and then of course on the inside with these drawers. I love to do that whenever possible because I just feel like it gives it a little bit of dimension, a little interest, and a little bit of fun. So thanks guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments. I'd love to chat with you down there. I'll also leave a link for my sprayer course down below in the description so that you can check it out. We are running the summer flash sale, and summer is almost over, so that means that flash sale is almost over. So grab it while you can. I've got a bundle of a beginner course and a sprayer course all for you. So whatever stage of flipping that you're at, it would be perfect for you. See you on the flip side.